Hi, I'm Jenny, Freddie's mum. Freddie's been supported by Sarah, the psychologist, and Tom's Trust for the past 8 years. The moment our life changed and when Freddie got diagnosed, it was a Sunday afternoon and Freddie had a huge seizure and they couldn't stop him fitting in the house, and I thought he was getting chicken pox, and we got rushed to hospital, and that night we thought there was a bleed on the brain. He was 11 months old. We didn't really know how it happened. We got asked questions. We didn't know how or what was happening. We got put in a room on my own. The next day, he was on lots of machines that night. And then the next day, we were in a room and they took him for a CAT scan. They thought he had a bleed down the brain, and then they took him for an MRI scan. And that was when we met Simon. And he said Freddie had a brain tumour. And they didn't think it was going to grow. They thought it was some sort of like maybe mole on his brain or something, some sort of tumour. They couldn't work out what it was or if it was going to grow. And this was in the June. And then in the November, he had another MRI scan to see how it was, and it grew 10%. And we were told then that it was definitely a brain tumour and that they were going to have to operate on it. 10% in 3 months was a lot, and if they left it to grow, then it could potentially cause more damage. He lost all his feeling in his left side, so he went paralysed. And I remember that day, they didn't know whether his feeling on his left side was going to come back. They didn't know whether he'd walk again. And then obviously we got the diagnosis and then the MRI scan that it grew. We were meant to go to Florida for Christmas that year and with the family. Then we had to cancel the holiday. He had his operation and it all went well. And I remember them saying before they took him down that they didn't know if he would walk again, wherever it was. Or they didn't know if they knew who I was when he woke up. And I was in the room when he woke up and he come from his operation. And he looked at us and sat up, clapped and shouted, "Mom, Mommy." So you remembered who I was. It was all just a waiting game to see if it would grow again, because they couldn't take the full of the tumour away, so they had to leave part of it. I think they took about 75% of it away, and they left about 25, because if they'd have took that part, it would have left him 100% paralysed on his left side. So they said, we'll just keep an eye on that part and see how he goes, and they just routine MRI scans. But obviously the part of the brain that he took away, we didn't know how it was going to affect him because he was too young to realise what the difference of Freddie was. He did walk again. He learned to walk again. He's great at riding his bike. He learned to ride a bike a week before his 3rd birthday. We got him into swimming. And I remember Simon saying how sports helps with brain injuries. And so I just had it in my head that we were going to put him into lots of sports, and we did. When we received the diagnosis, I didn't really understand what it meant or how the future was going to be. I wasn't really bothered about any outcome apart from having Freddie, or when they said they didn't know whether we would be able to walk again, or it didn't really cross my mind as much as it does now. Back then, I just wanted Freddie here, and that it wouldn't have mattered how he would have been. When I was in it at the time, when he first got the diagnosis, I seemed to be probably more stronger then than I am now. I think as the time goes on, the frame gets bigger, the worries get bigger, because they worry more of adult life and how the next scan's going to be. And at the time, I didn't really think about anything like that. I just wanted to, just look after Freddie. But now it got harder as the years went on. I found it harder. I found it harder when he went to school, and not knowing how he was going to be at school, making friends, and because he hadn't really been around loads of people. Freddie's diagnosis was a temporal lobe brain tumour on his right side, in his temporal lobe, which affected his left side of his body. So hence why he had the droopy eye and he lost the feeling in his left side. Freddie was going to be left-handed, because his left hand was so weak they made him use his right hand when he first started school. What we know now is that with Freddie being left-handed, going to be left-handed, it took a while, and took him to 7, 8 till we got, because he was going to be left-handed, it's the other side of the brain. So this is how we now know Freddie's got a speech and language disorder, because they couldn't understand it at the beginning. They were saying it shouldn't affect that part, but because when the left-hander, so the brain's on the other side, which obviously now makes sense. That's how that part of the brain's affected. He's English at school. The journey since diagnosis has been tough at school. I think our main problems and Freddie's problems were with school, getting the help and the support that he needs. The memory side, helping Freddie with his memory and just remembering everyday things that would normally become easy to us, that the struggle for Freddie is brushing his teeth and remembering that he went upstairs for the toilet, and them things as a mum, you don't really ever think that you would have to make sure they're remembered as they got older. But it is a struggle with school. Getting the support at school has been our fight since he started school. And I knew something wasn't quite right at school, but I knew I would never give in after 40 odd different meetings. I feel like we got somewhere. I don't know if we got right there, but that was my main focus, was to help Freddie at school. My mental health has been impacted, probably thinking you're going insane when people tell you that he's fine and you know he's not. I did think I was going crazy sometimes, thinking he slept lots. I should be happy that I had a child that slept lots, but now I know I wasn't going crazy. In the school, when they were saying he's going to be fine, I knew your things weren't fine. So I think thinking that you're going crazy and you're actually not going crazy and you're all right, always believing what your heart's telling you, because you're normally right with your own child, and I definitely was. Yeah, I was introduced to Sarah through Professor Simon Bailey, Freddie's consultant, when I was chatting to him about school. Knowing that school wasn't right, I rang up and got an appointment with Simon, and he said, right, we've got someone that can work with you, Sarah, and she will help fight for what Freddie needs, and we'll get to the bottom of it. And we started doing cognitive tests on Freddie, and knowing that things weren't right, and Sarah then started coming to school meetings with us and fighting for what she thought Freddie needed. She got him an OT. She got loads of help for the school, so she did like school teacher meetings online. Sarah helped from Freddie being 7. Then Sarah mentioned that they were doing a clinic for his medication, and she thought it would have a good impact on Freddie to try the medication, and if she was right, it helped massively. I know Freddie wouldn't have half what he's got if it wasn't for Sarah, because I couldn't have done it on my own. When you don't know what to say to the teachers, I know they're not doing something right, but I wasn't sure myself. I knew things weren't right, but Sarah was like, no, this isn't right, that's not right, and this is what we're going to say. And she always had us briefed before we went in, and when we sit around the table, she was just, amazing. That first meeting, I was like, but then on the flip side, then I remember them saying, Freddie might need to go to a special school, and I was like, no way is he going to a special school. He can cope, and I know he'll be able to cope in mainstream if he gets the right support. But then the flip side is they don't get the support that they need, and I never got the educational health care plan, but I'm not going to give up yet, and I hope he does get it, because it just lasts till they're 25, and it might help him get an apprenticeship. But I always say to him, I will keep fighting for it. You go, Mum, it's fine. No, it's not. Dexter was born when Freddie had the brain tumour, was already diagnosed. But Dexter's really caring towards Freddie, and he knows Freddie struggles with some things. We didn't really tell him till he was 9 what actually Freddie had and what the impact was with Freddie, and how he struggles sometimes in day life. He knew we couldn't do lots of things because Freddie didn't like doing it. You didn't really know the reason why. But actually Dexter is massively caring towards Freddie, even though, because he's always known Freddie that way, but he knows Freddie really does struggle at some things, and he helps massively, even though there's a huge 5 years age gap. Dexter came 5 years after Freddie was diagnosed. He knew he went to hospital, but didn't really know why he went to hospital. And I remember him saying, Mum, can I be bad? And I was like, what? He was like, can I be bad? I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, Freddie always gets to get out of school to go to the hospital. I want to be bad. I was like, no, Dexter, you don't want to be bad. He was like, well, why? And I was like, because you don't. He was like, and then it probably self-consciously me thinking, I do have that one-to-one with Freddie a lot, and Dexter was left at my mum's or at school, and I never, didn't ever take him to hospital appointments with his The first hospital appointment I brought him to was, well, it wasn't even like a hospital appointment, it was the sibling day. He'd never ever came to any other one, and I kept it sort of closed off and not. And then when we told him about, he's so does everyone get a bad brain? I was like, no. Well, I get a bad brain. I was like, no, you won't, it'll be fine. But it was quite hard to explain it when we did explain it, because he just always knew that he went, but not really knowing why. But yeah, he is really good with him. Now we're at year 11 with Freddie at school, and he still gets the support of Sarah. He had a bit of therapy for his pain in his legs with another psychologist from the hospital, Chloe, and that's helped him loads. And he gets the support at school, and hopefully Chloe is trying to help with getting the educational healthcare plan put in place for Freddie. Maybe he's not in time for these GCSEs, but yeah, working on school and hopefully has a normal adult life and get a apprenticeship that he wants. Sharing our family story, hopefully it helps others in the situation not to give up. You always fight for what you think your child needs, and hopefully get the support that they need in the future and carry on getting the support, because I think at the time you get the support off the consultant, and it's the after part that gets harder, trying to fight with the schools and life, getting the support that they need. I think of all the help and the support that Tom Trust has given us when I think of Tom's Trust, and I don't know where we would be without the support of Tom's Trust and Sarah, and I can't thank them enough for all the support and help that they still do give Freddie. I think people should support Tom's Trust for families like ours and give the support to the children and the families that they need for a long time after diagnosis.